All right, let's do it, and let's talk some Niners. You're watching the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. Chase Sr. here with you, and coming up on today's show, 5 surprise Niners cut candidates following the 2025 NFL Draft. And let's begin with defensive end Drake Jackson. Also, some news on this front because he took to social media to put up an Instagram story yesterday, and hopefully it can work out for Drake Jackson because at USC, I like the game. When the Niners took him in the second round a couple of years ago, we saw some flashes. He has the length, the size, the speed, the NFL bloodlines to be a really good player in this league, but the Niners haven't been happy at times with the work ethic. Those are some whispers that I've heard from inside the building, and then he hasn't been able to stay healthy either. And it got to a point where we didn't see him at all during the entire duration of the 2024 season after he got hurt in 2023. More on that, but Drake Jackson seems like a motivated guy, and he knows that his NFL career is kind of hanging in the balance to a certain degree. And so he posted this Instagram story. Looks as though he was working out, rocking a Niners hoodie, and the caption reads, "Y'all crazy if y'all don't think that I'm wreaking havoc on that field this year. Boomerang to all the haters. I got God on my side. I'll see you suckers soon." Well, for Drake Jackson, I'm rooting for you. I hope it works out, and I hope that you're right about this. As for that injury, tore his patellar tendon in November of 2023. Hasn't played since. Before that, he was dealing with some knee injuries too, which kind of sucked away from the potential that he has in this league. Second-round pick in the 2022 NFL Draft. The Niners didn't have a first-rounder that year because of that Trey Lance trade. They took him 61st overall. And the flashes that we've seen, at one point as a rookie, there was a span of 4 games in which he had 3 sacks. And you saw some of that speed, the bend, the physicality, the push from that defensive end spot. And then, week 1 of the 2023 season, he has 3 sacks against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then nothing after that. Wasn't a part of the defensive end rotation, and maybe that's just because that knee was bothering him, and the Niners didn't have confidence in his health. He tried to play through it, and then unfortunately he suffered one of the most problematic injuries that you can suffer, and that patellar tendon injury is one, it's really hard to come back from that. But look, this is the reality of the NFL. It is time to get healthy for Drake Jackson. It is time for him to show something, and in other words, it's time to shit or get off the pot. Because what the Niners did in this draft, pretty telling. Loaded up on the defensive side of the ball, and they drafted a couple of really intriguing defensive linemen. And when I look ahead to the start of the 2025 season, I am rolling with 3 rookie starters along the defensive line. Maliek Williams, first-round pick at number 11. I'm going with Alfred Collins, who the Niners took in the second round at 43 out of Texas. And I'm rolling with CJ West. Vice grips as hands. Such quick area burst and explosion from that defensive tackle spot. The 40-yard dash at his size was ridiculous in the pre-draft. All of these players have really intriguing athletic traits. They showed so much potential and a lot of consistent reps on tape throughout their respective college careers. They're all really good against the run. Do they need to get better as pass rushers? No doubt about that. But right from the jump, they are going to be able to help what has been a very bad and porous Niners rushing defense over the last couple of years. And so they're going to help against the run. Hopefully they can develop as pass rushers. They're going to add some much-needed juice, athleticism, youthful energy to that side of the ball. And Drake Jackson, he's going to have to fight for a roster spot here. Sam Okuwanu is a solid backup defensive end. We saw what he could do last year. Yetur Gross-Matos, the backup behind Nick Bosa. Then you see Drake Jackson. Has to have a good camp. Has to stay healthy. Has to show that he can stay healthy. The ability is there, but he can't show that ability if he can't get on the field. Niners cut candidate number 2 is cornerback Darrell Luter Jr. This is another player coming out of college. I liked his game. He had really good speed. The testing numbers were pretty good. He made plays on the football while playing at South Alabama to a point where the Niners took him in the 5th round in the 2023 NFL Draft. But like Drake Jackson, he's been injured a lot. He's played in 10 games the last 2 years. Had a solid training camp last year, but throughout his career, injuries have popped up. Soft tissue stuff, dealing with knee and pelvic injuries. Unfortunately for him, he's most known for being a part of the botched punt return alongside Ray McCloud when the ball bounced off of him in the Super Bowl against Kansas City 2 Februaries ago. Prior to the draft, ran a 4.46, 40-yard dash, has long arms, has the ability to play physically at the line of scrimmage. The traits are certainly there. Prior to free agency and in the draft, I was thinking about Darrell Luter Jr. saying maybe he can start on the inside in what was at that time a pretty weak secondary as far as depth. But I think the Niners' plans are pretty clear at the cornerback position. They took Upton Stout in the 3rd round. He might be 5'8", 5'9", hovering around 180 pounds, but he plays aggressive, plays nasty, plays with fire. He can run with anybody, has really sticky coverage, 4'4" guy, really good against the run. I think he is going to be the starting slot corner for the Niners week 1. And then that naturally keeps Deommodore Lenoir on the outside, where toward the end of last year he played very well. He played at a Pro Bowl level all year, whether it be inside, outside. And Renardo Green was a top 25 graded overall corner, according to Pro Football Focus, in the NFL as a rookie last year. But there are some depth issues here at the cornerback spot for San Francisco. Dre Brown is going to have to prove himself. You have Darrell Luter Jr. there. Saron Neal is another player who has some good moments throughout his NFL career. But I think that Chase Lucas, Tomlinson, the nephew of LaDainian Tomlinson, are they more special teams players? Can they pop off in camp? Darrell Luter Jr., another player who's going to have to prove it. And then Niners cut candidate number 3 is quarterback Tanner Mordecai. UDFA, who the Niners picked up last year after he was not drafted, has 4.4 speed. For his lack of height, he can spin it. He puts some velocity behind the ball. But there could be a stealth quarterback 3 competition in camp between Mordecai and Curtis Rourke, who the Niners drafted in the 7th round out of Indiana. It's going to depend on the health for Rourke. He could have a redshirt year where the Niners try to stash him for future years after playing on a torn ACL all of last year for an Indiana team that was one of the surprise teams in college football and made it to the college football playoff last year, led by Rourke at quarterback. Has good size, really good frame, really good football IQ. He can layer balls in there. He anticipates pretty well. He can read and beat defenses because of the high football IQ. At times, he does have a slow release. Going to have to be a little bit quicker with that at the NFL level just because the pass rush gets home a little bit faster. But what you love about him, he can push the ball downfield. He can play point guard. He can throw with that aforementioned touch, kind of like Brock Purdy, although he's a lot bigger. He is an older player at 24. He's dealt with a handful of injuries throughout his career because he has 2 torn ACLs. He hurt his thumb at one point. But last year, you really liked what you saw if you dive into the tape. He completed nearly 70% of his passes, more than 3,000 yards, 9.5 yards per attempt, 31 touchdowns, 5 picks, 2 fumbles. He can run a little bit, but he's more of that classic pocket quarterback. I think those knee injuries, they've zapped some of his speed. And if he can get on the field for training camp, those reps are going to be split up between Mordecai and Rourke. Which player is going to rise up to the occasion? QB1 is obviously set with Brock Purdy. I really like the acquisition of Mac Jones to bring in a player who Kyle Shanahan likes, who can run this system. And I want to see what Mac Jones can do in the preseason as he's finally in a stable offensive environment with skilled position players around him in a scheme that suits him with a quality offensive coaching staff, which he has lacked to start his NFL career. A quick reminder, sorry to interrupt this great video here on the Niners Report, but be sure to hit that subscribe button here on the show for daily Niners videos from yours truly. We just surpassed 161,000 subscribers, so lock us in. Let's continue that momentum and hit that sub button right now. Our show today, sponsored by our great friends at Prize Picks, the best daily fantasy sports app in the game. They make daily fantasy sports so easy. They make game days and game nights so much more fun. You just pick 2 or more players. You choose more or less on their projected stats, and you can win up to 2,000 times your cash. It's the best place to turn your sports knowledge into cash. With millions of members, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. Again, you just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your money. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Cash in on the basketball playoffs. Don't miss your last chance to add your favorite players from the court to your Prize Picks lineup. Whether it's points, rebounds, assists, take your pick of more or less for your shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash today. You can also turn your playoff hot takes into tickets to basketball's championship series, starting with the play-in round. Obviously, now we're in the second round of the playoffs in the final 8. Every lineup you make on Prize Picks will enter you in the Takes to Tickets sweepstakes, which could get you an A+1, a VIP trip to the ship. Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching sports. So join the millions of users and sign up today, and you can put in your lineups and win money as quick as 15 minutes. Prize Picks also offering Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits right into your account. And every Tuesday, Prize Picks will discount several projections on the board, usually by 15%, up to 25% for some Taco Tuesday picks. Some selections that we like. Donovan Mitchell, more against the Pacers in Game 2 than 24.5 points. I love that one right there. Tyrese Halliburton, more than 33.5 points, rebounds, and assists. The Pacers, by the way, up 1-0 in that series. Steph Curry, for those of you in the Bay Area. Warriors taking on the T-Wolves, more than 26.5 points. And then Anthony Edwards, the Ant-Man, more than 28.5 points. That game a little bit later tonight on this Tuesday, May 6th. Pick more, pick less. Run your game with Prize Picks. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Get $50 instantly when you play $5. All right, another cut candidate here who could be a surprise, and that's why this show is titled Surprise Cut Candidates, is running back Isaac Guerendo, who the Niners moved up to take out of Louisville, as some of you say, in the 4th round of last year's draft. The size, speed, physicality component, something I really like for Guerendo. I was at the NFL Combine 2 years ago. I was there this past year as well, of course, for the real ones who watch the show. To watch him run a 4.3 at 221 was incredible. Inexperienced player in college who only had one career college start. It came in his final college game. And last year, you saw some of the inexperience, especially in this complex outside zone scheme for Kyle Shanahan. As a running back in this scheme, you need to be decisive with your vision. You need to be a one-cut runner, see hole, hit hole, as I like to say. A lot of you like that saying as well, outside of football. 84 carries for 420 yards, 4 touchdowns. We saw the burst with that long run against Seattle. He has it. He needs to put it together. Sometimes the game needs to slow down. I think last year for Guerendo, he got better the more carries that he got. And I think as he becomes more experienced, he can be a dynamic player. Kind of the thunder and lightning in this running back room because he has the speed, he has the physicality. But the concerns with Guerendo, and this has been an issue for him in college, dating back to high school when he was a track star, soft tissue injuries, hamstring issues popping up here and there. And that's impacted him. It was a problem last year. Prior to the year, it was an issue during the season. He has to be able to stay on the field. If he can, he could be dynamic. But if he continues to get hurt, who did the Niners take in the 5th round? Jordan James out of Oregon. Good contact balance, plays physical stout for his size. He is a classic Kyle Shanahan, Bobby Turner type of one-cut outside zone runner who has really solid mass, good vision, quick cuts. He can break tackles. He can maintain his footing even when he gets undercut. He is a good pass protector. He did not have a fumble at all in his entire college career. He has pass-catching ability, although at times he did struggle with that. And in a deep running back class, he goes in the 5th round. In prior years, he could have been a 3rd or 4th round pick. So I like the dimension of this running back room right now. CMC coming back, Isaac Guerendo, Jordan James. They're all different in their own respective ways. I think this Niners offense is at its best when you have a little bit of a running back rotation and you're not running Christian McCaffrey into the ground. But for Guerendo, and really under Kyle Shanahan, we've seen all types of backs find success in this offense. Can't make the club from the tub. Guerendo, I hope that you can stay healthy because the skill set, the athleticism, it's certainly special. And then cut candidate number 5 is safety Richie Grant. Chase, what about the injury to Maliek Mustafa? Niners just signed him. Can Robert Saleh bring the best out of a guy who was a top 45 pick coming out of Central Florida in the 2021 draft when the Falcons took him in the 2nd round? I get it. And he's experienced. He's played in 67 games, 33 starts. He has some special teams ability. I know that the Mustafa injury makes things interesting, but there are a couple of intriguing free agent safeties out there. Julian Blackmon, Justin Simmons, well-accomplished players in this league. Justin Simmons is a 4-time second-team All-Pro. You have Ji'Ayir Brown. And then you drafted Marquise Siegel, who has positional versatility. You signed Jason Pinnock. And so there's a reality in which Richie Grant is on the outside looking in. You have Pinnock and Ji'Ayir Brown, who I think are going to be the starting safeties for the Niners because I expect Maliek Mustafa to start the year on PUP. But some of those backup options, especially if the Niners sign a safety, that could put Richie Grant's roster spot in jeopardy. Now, none of these cuts have significant financial ramifications. Even for a player like Drake Jackson, who the Niners took in the 2nd round, the dead cap number, not really that expensive for a player like that, nor are the dead cap charges vast for any of these players. So these are realistic cuts, which could be a surprise on 53-man roster cutdown day. So what say you? Which player on the Niners roster is on the hot seat? Show me that you know ball and that you know this roster, and comment down below.